What's going on YouTube? So Mazda has long been known for having a lineup full of fun to drive options, but not necessarily efficient options per se.
But that changes today with one of Mazda's best-selling products, the new CX-50 Hybrid.
So with Toyota's legendary hybrid propulsion on board, plus Mazda's legendary driving dynamics, is this the best combination of both worlds? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Alright, so a fitting place to begin things is of course under the hood, because that is the big part of the CX-50 Hybrid. So this is going to be wedged right in between Mazda's existing 2.5 engines. This is a 2.5 engine as well, but it is Toyota's hybrid system. So a 2.5 four-cylinder with 3 electric motors. Combined power is 219 horsepower. This will be paired to an eCVT transmission. You have standard all-wheel drive, and the combined fuel economy is a very impressive 38 mpg.
Now, of course, we will also be discussing our real-world fuel economy that we've experienced after living with this vehicle. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, and after that, discussing resale and reliability.
But let's go ahead and close up the hood so we can take a look at the exterior as well as some exclusive touches to the interior. So starting out up in the front, thankfully being a hybrid doesn't really impact the overall design of the CX-50. I think Mazdas always have that really nice athletic and aggressive appearance, also a little bit rugged on the CX-50 specifically as well. That continues here. You'll see you've got that signature Mazda grille up in the front. We have a gloss black finish, chrome badging right through there, and a little bit of cladding down here at the bottom, again to give the CX-50 a beefier look than say something like the CX-5. Now in terms of our lighting, you have standard full LED lights across the entire lineup. You've got that signature daytime running light and turn signal indicator design on board. One thing I do want to mention though is the fact that the Premium Plus hybrid trim level does not get the adaptive LEDs like the Turbo Premium Plus model. And while I'm talking about that, I might as well mention the hybrid is available in 3 trim levels. So you don't have quite as many selections as say the 2.5 traditional engine option, but you do have a wide variety that will give you a pretty affordable price tag or most of the luxury options. Now walking around to the back, of course you continue to have that signature Mazda look on board for the hybrid as well.
Yeah, and there is one change back here. You might have already spotted it. There's a hybrid badge. Other than that, it's going to be your signature CX-50, which means we have a spoiler up top, a wiper right here, and let's check out our taillight elements. So as you can see, we do have an LED brake light portion, LED reverse light, and LED turn signal indicator. I've said this in a lot of Mazda reviews, but all of the lighting pretty much is luxury level lighting. Now down here at the bottom, a lot of this is going to be comprised of a matte black plastic, so be aware of that when you choose your exterior color. However, I'm very happy to tell you that we keep the dual exhaust outlets despite this being a hybrid model, and your tow rating comes in at 1,500 pounds for this version.
Moving on to our wheels, these are going to be totally new designs for the hybrid trim levels. You have a range from 17 to 19 inch alloys. This is the 19-inch option on this fully loaded Premium Plus trim level. As you can see, it's got a contrast design. It's a little bit more sealed off, so a little bit more aerodynamic than the traditional designs you get on the other models. Now, one interesting thing about the hybrid is that it actually has an ever so slightly higher ride height, and it also has ever so slightly thicker cladding to kind of visually make that all balance out. You've got your hybrid badging right there on the fender, and in terms of our mirrors, you have a gloss black finish up top. Heating will be standard equipment. Power folding comes on this Premium Plus.
Now at the side of the CX-50 Hybrid, it comes in at 185.8 inches, which is the same as any other CX-50, and we do have chrome roof rails up top. Now when it comes to your safety systems, of course this is a family vehicle, and Mazda knows that, so they're giving you every single system as standard equipment. Just be aware that you won't be able to have the rear auto braking of the Turbo Premium Plus. But guys, there's an exclusive hybrid interior that we need to dive into. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Okay, now let's move on to the inside. Here is our Mazda key fob, just your typical Mazda design. You have a smart entry system on board as standard equipment as well. And just reach behind the handle and that will unlock the door and fold the mirrors outward. And then taking a look inside the interior right off the bat. Those of you who know Mazda CX-50s will notice there's something different about this cabin that none of the other CX-50s can get, and that's the fact that we've got an exclusive red interior. This is only on the hybrid version, and as you can see, really nice look to this on board. As you might know, here at Car Confections, we're big fans of red interiors. Now, let's talk about the materials themselves. So you have a leatherette trim on your base hybrid model. The other two trim levels, Premium and Premium Plus, come with a genuine leather. It's a nice feel to this, of course. Perforation, you have color contrast details running throughout. The seats themselves are 10-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support. You also have memory seats on both of the models with leather seating. But let's get inside and check out the details. Now, in terms of the rest of the cabin materials, of course, this model has always been known for giving you a premium experience. That does continue. So over here on the door trim, we have the red leatherette. You have that through the center section. You have another section of like a smoother leatherette with the cross-stitching detail. Soft touch plastic along the top of the door trim, as well as the entire top of the dashboard. And then down through the center section, more leatherette with the cross-stitching detail. Everything in here feels really nice and solid. Only thing I would have liked to see is some padding down here along our center tunnel. But let's fire it up with our standard push button start. So it's all booted up now, and we can check out our gauge cluster first of all. So this is, of course, going to be different than the other models in the lineup. They have this special gauge over here, which is giving you, well, basically your power and charge of the hybrid system, just showing you how much energy you're using, basically. And you also can scroll to a screen, which gives you the percentage of your battery and how that's kind of filling up or depleting as you go through. Now, up top here, we've got a head-up display on our top Premium Plus hybrid model, and all Mazdas will continue to give you rain sensing wipers. Now, as far as the steering wheel, we've got a really nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. It is manual tilt and telescoping. One thing I want to point out, though, is that the hybrid Premium Plus does not have a heated steering wheel. That's another one of those features you've got to get the Turbo Premium Plus to get. All right, let's talk about interior storage next. So when I open up our console here, it's got that split design, and you'll notice inside we have it loaded down with donuts. That's because here at Car Confections, we like to do the donut test and check the volume of the center console. In this case today, it is fitting 9 donuts. That is a respectable score for the segment, but certainly not class leading. Now, while I actually have this open, I should point out that underneath of here is where you have your standard wireless phone charging pad. Kind of gets covered up when you close the lid. Got your 2 cup holders up in the front, and then you have another little storage cubby right there. One of the interesting quirks about the CX-50 hybrid is that it has a Toyota shift knob instead of the Mazda's shift knob. Nevertheless, it's a traditional style, so you just pull back for drive. You can bump over here to the left if you want to shift through some simulated gear changes. There are not any paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel. Heading into reverse, you'll see the traditional backup camera on all hybrid models. Again, just like with the heated steering wheel, be aware that you cannot get the 360 camera. I'm a little disappointed by that considering the price on this model. I still would like to see the 360 camera on the hybrid Premium Plus. Back behind the shifter, you have your electronic parking brake with brake hold. You also have your drive mode controller, and you have 3 different drive modes than the other versions. So you have a normal, power, and trail on the hybrid. This is your control knob for the infotainment system. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. And then over here on the right-hand side is our volume knob. This is the Bose 12-speaker sound system, and let's go ahead and give it a sample. overall sound quality is pretty good. Certainly fills up the cabin nicely. All right, let's kind of move into the next area. That's our climate controls. Dual zone automatic climate is, of course, standard equipment. Very simple to use because you've got the physical controls on board. You also have 3-stage heated seats. That is a standard feature. And then the ventilated seats are on this hybrid premium plus trim. Up top, we have the display. This is 10.25 inches. As typical for Mazda, you've got that infotainment system where you engage with it and that controller. So you can't actually touch this when it's in this traditional view. You will have to use the control knob. However, when I cycle into Android Auto, you'll see that we can touch it when we're in that mode. So now that I'm inside of Android Auto, you can see that I can just cycle in and actually touch this. It is very far away though, so I wouldn't recommend trying to do this while you are driving. Up top, you have your auto dim mirror with your HomeLink universal remotes. And then last but certainly not least, I can slide back the power sunshade for our large panoramic sunroof.
Now let's dive into the CX-50 Hybrid's rear seat. Before we get back here, I do want to point out the rear door does open quite nice and wide, which will help loading in child seats or whatever you might need to do in the rear area. Now, as far as the space is concerned, we are going to have a lot of space, according to Mazda. About 40 inches of legroom and about 39 inches of headroom. However, you know, one of the things we do in all of our Car Confections reviews is get our knee room figure with Drew's 5'8" driving position. I'm 5'9" for reference, and we are sitting at just over 5 inches of additional knee room. So I do think those figures are a little bit exaggerated. We review a lot of vehicles in this segment. This does feel a little bit smaller than stuff like a Honda CR-V, that's for sure. My feet can slide up underneath of the seat, so that's quite nice. And as far as the seats themselves, they do not recline, so do be aware of that. If we fold down the center armrest, we have 2 cup holders inside. And you're also noticing that we're not going to have a lot of the controls. So some of the other CX-50s would have heated rear seats. That's actually not offered at all on the hybrid, so I'm a little disappointed by that. You would have to choose a turbo model to get that. As far as features, we do have vents here in the middle. We're also going to have 2 USB-C ports, and there's just a little bit of a hump here in the middle. Now, as far as the door trim is concerned, it's a little cheaper than the front, so we do have a hard touch upper part, but most of the rest of it is leather covered, and there is also quite a bit of door storage. As you can see, I could fit an entire Stanley water bottle in the door trim there, so it's pretty practical overall. Walking up to the tailgate on the CX-50, we do have a Power 1 standard on preferred trim levels and above, so that means a standard on the hybrid model entirely, no kickability on the CX-50, and I'm sure you're very curious as to this cargo area. Does it impact the cargo space a ton to get the hybrid model? And I'm happy to tell you that Mazda says no, it does not. Now, as far as cargo figures, we don't have like super official numbers yet. This is a pretty early review of the CX-50 hybrid. However, Mazda says it's about 29 cubic feet behind the second row of seats. And if I use these nice handles here on the side, which most in the class do not give you, you can fold those seats down to give you your maximum. Now, I'm estimating the maximum is going to be about 55 cubic feet because the gas version is around 56 cubic feet, and based on the other figure, you're losing about 1 to 2 cubic feet of overall cargo capacity, so not much at all, really nothing to be concerned about, although I will say it's less than most of the competition. Now, under the floor, we do also keep a spare tire, which is quite nice, and then over here on the side, we have our cargo length, width, and height figures because that's, of course, something we do in all of our Car Confections reviews. We are sitting at 74 inches of overall length behind Drew's 5'8" driving position. From behind the second row, 42 inches. As far as cargo width, it's going to be about 41 inches wide. And height, it does appear to be a little bit shorter than most other SUVs at about 27 inches tall. All right, guys, now we are behind the wheel of the CX-50 Hybrid. We cannot wait to show you the whole drive experience in this model. Of course, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting our sound level reading. But first, we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration so you can see what this Toyota engine is like in the Mazda CX-50.
was 60 miles an hour. So like we were talking about at the spec dump, this new hybrid model really fits nicely in between the existing options. So you still got the 2.5S, which is a 2.5 four-cylinder. You've got the 2.5 turbo four-cylinder, which has a ton of power for the segment. And then right there in the middle, we've got this new hybrid model. So this has 219 horsepower again from a 2.5 liter four-cylinder engine and 3 electric motors. Now, we've been talking a lot about, the relationship here with Toyota, and I do want to point out that, the engine itself is sourced from Toyota. It's not like a Skyactiv four-cylinder engine, so it is Toyota's own four-cylinder engine, and this all just, works together really very similarly, of course, to the Toyota hybrid system that we're used to driving in products such as the RAV4.
Yeah, I definitely notice the torque off the line. Of course, like Drew said, we've lived with the RAV4 hybrid many different times at this point, so the torque off the line is quite impressive, and really I think it's a huge upgrade over the standard 2.5 liter model in the CX-50's lineup. Now, is it as fast as the turbo? No, it's not, but it is a big step up over the base model, and you're still going to get really good fuel economy, which we'll talk about a little later.
Yeah, it certainly feels like plenty of power. And of course, the other element of the powertrain is the transmission. We might as well go on and get into that. This comes with an eCVT as opposed to the 6-speed automatic you get with the other two engine choices. This is a nice and responsive transmission. Again, as typical with Toyota, it really all just works together super nicely. It gives you good response. You don't have to wait for any type of lag or anything like that. Just be aware, if you prefer the more traditional experience, you might want to just get the regular 2.5 model.
Yeah. All-wheel drive is also standard equipment. That's how Toyota's hybrid system is set up, is to have all-wheel drive as standard. As such, you will have that on the hybrid version, and it's also standard on both of the gasoline versions as well. All right, but now we are on the highway section, and I want to just go ahead and quickly discuss overall ride quality. Now, one of the things about the CX-50 is that it is a Mazda, so we were very curious as to if this hybrid version is going to change the overall feel. Does it still drive like a Mazda, etc., etc.? And I'm happy to tell you that it still does have that same Mazda characteristic. That does mean, however, when it comes to your ride quality, it's going to be definitely on the firmer side for this segment of vehicle. You're definitely going to feel a little bit more intrusion than you would in a RAV4 or other options such as the Honda CR-V. As we go over a bump, you'll definitely, feel a little bit of that inside of the cabin, which is not necessarily a bad thing for those of you looking for, a Mazda, of course. I also want to point out that these seats are a little bit firmer than I would like. I think that they could really improve the overall, ride experience, maybe by putting a little bit softer seats in here, but overall, not bad whatsoever. And we're going about 55 miles per hour, so I think it's time for us to get our sound level reading in the CX-50 hybrid. All right, 55 miles per hour on fan speed 1. 57.5 is what we have settled in at as our official Kentucky sound level reading in the CX-50 hybrid. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all the other compact SUVs in this segment, because we can find that at carconfections.com. And indeed, that is going to place it pretty much kind of in the middle of the compact segment. It's not going to be like the quietest option by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a relatively quiet choice overall.
Alright, so I clicked it into power mode, which, as I mentioned earlier, is basically the sport mode for the hybrid model. They don't call it sport because typically Mazda said, there's sport modes, change the transmission, tuning and stuff like that. That's not really the purpose of that in this vehicle itself. And let's kind of throw it around this corner here, because we all know Mazda dynamics are the name of the game, right? Yep, she still got it. Of course, that's kind of what we were all wondering is, can we combine that Toyota hybrid system with the excellent dynamics that the CX-50 already conveys? And the answer is yes. Maybe you can tell there's a little bit of weight gain, but overall, this is just a very tossable compact crossover. They do a great job of keeping body roll to a minimal, and especially the steering. That continues to be just a super strong area. You can see if you turn just slightly off center, you get that immediate response. The steering itself is really quite heavy for the segment of vehicle, but it's certainly something that we as enthusiasts appreciate, because most things in this segment, they're a real snooze to drive, and this does have that lively character still.
All right, but the time has finally come. Let's go ahead and dive into fuel economy. Now, as far as the EPA numbers, we'll hit those first. It is rated at 38 miles per gallon combined, which is slightly less than what you get in the RAV4 hybrid by about 2 mpg, but not a terrible difference, that's for sure. And it is going to be a vast improvement over other versions of the CX-50. The standard 2.5 model comes in at 28, so that's plus 10 mpg. And if you choose the turbo, that's plus 13 mpg. So really big difference when you choose this hybrid version.
Which is probably why Mazda expects this to be 40% of sales next year.
I know, that is a large percentage, guys. That is for sure. Now, what is our real-world experience with this CX-50? Well, to be honest with you guys, we only had it for about 3 days, so we couldn't get like a full tank of gas in. This is a shortened loan period because this is a new product. We drove over 100 miles, though, so this is a good estimate of city and highway figures. 40.3 mpg. You can see that on the screen right now is what we are sitting at in this CX-50 hybrid. Really good. That's actually better than what the EPA is saying, which is something that we've experienced in a lot of other Toyota hybrid systems previously, is that they actually get better than what the EPA rates. So really cool stuff here. I think that's just an incredibly good thing with this model, is to have that really good efficiency. That's something we really haven't seen out of Mazda aside from stuff like the plug-in hybrid variants.
Yeah, and they say that's good enough to improve the fuel range by about 100 miles overall when you're going on that nice and long road trip. And we do expect to have this vehicle relatively soon for a full 7-day test where we can really rack up those miles and verify for sure that we can, get that EPA or maybe even exceed it.
And that hybrid fuel economy has got to be today's slam dunk. I think this is something we certainly have all been requesting from Mazda for a long time. And honestly, if they were going to take a hybrid system from another brand, Toyota's probably the one to do it from, isn't it? Isn't that the case? Because, it's the best fuel economy really in the segment, and it does also give you quite good power figures as well. So I think this is a really good move for Mazda.
And it's super smooth in terms of the handoff between electric power and gasoline power. All right, now I get the negative job of giving you the airball of today. It's not specifically related to the hybrid model. It's just a quirk of this model in general, and that's the kind of overall packaging. There's some things that just don't really live up to many of the rivals. One thing we noticed, for instance, is like big cups don't fit in the cup holders properly. If it's a little bit taller, it actually will turn on the heated seat.
Yeah.
Just like some of the packaging here, you just don't have as much space as those leading contenders for sure.
Lastly, when it comes to warranty, you have a 3-year 36 basic warranty. You also have a 5-year 60 powertrain. However, do keep in mind you will not get maintenance, which is something that Toyota includes. All right, now let's go ahead and discuss pricing for the CX-50 hybrid. Now, I'm happy to tell you that that base hybrid version, the preferred, starts at under $34,000, so a relatively affordable starting price. And then if you go up to the Premium Plus, that's barely over $40,000, $40,050. Now, keep in mind you do have standard all-wheel drive, and if you're curious as to how this one is equipped, the wind's blowing a little bit here, but we have the 25 CX-50 Hybrid Premium Plus. We also have the optional paint color, $1,420 for destination, $42,065 as tested today. Now, if you're looking to buy a Mazda CX-50 or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a car is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability.
First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for the CX-50's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 59.44% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 25.2%. Now, it's worth noting that is one of the best resale value percentages in the entire auto industry. Really, the only brands that are better than this are Honda, Toyota, and Subaru.
Now, when it comes to reliability, we also developed the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Mazda is rated right at the overall industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale and reliability data, as well as our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands.
And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the 2025 all-new Mazda CX-50 Hybrid. Now, if you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and we will hopefully be getting a full 7-day impression of the CX-50 Hybrid in just a little bit longer, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.